Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celsius 233, your go-to place for fiction book summaries. Today we will lose ourselves in The Dark World by Henry Kuttner. The Dark World is a 1946 science fiction novel by Henry Kuttner, a prolific author known for his work in speculative fiction. The story is a blend of fantasy, science fiction, and horror, set in a parallel universe where alternate versions of the protagonist exist. In this dark, mysterious world, the protagonist, Edward Bond, finds himself caught between his Earth identity and that of Ganelon, a lord of a sinister coven with ties to magic and dark forces. Plot summary. The smoke rising from the distant swamps north of Chicago sent an unexplainable sense of dread coursing through Edward Bond's veins. He knew it was just a camper's fire, yet something primal in him stirred, as if it were more than just a fire. This vague unease had followed him for some time, a feeling as though his true identity was slipping away. Haunted by strange memories and dreams, he found himself yearning for a sword, not any sword, but one that seemed to call from an ancient, forgotten place. Edward had fought in World War II and crash-landed in the jungles of Sumatra. Since then, his life had been shadowed by strange visions and warnings. The villagers who had nursed him back to health had sensed something wrong, something that followed him. Their witch doctor had warned him that forces from another world were hunting him, something far older than anything he could comprehend. Edward dismissed it as superstition, but the dreams persisted, leading him to believe that there was a greater truth hidden beneath his memories. One night, Edward felt an irresistible pull toward the wilderness. As he stared at the fire burning in the distance, something in his soul awakened. An ethereal voice called him by another name, Ganelon. Before he could resist, he was drawn into the dark world, a parallel universe where the rules of reality were twisted and magic held sway. In this world, he was not Edward Bond, but Ganelon, a powerful figure tied to the Sinister Coven, a group of sorcerers who ruled over this strange realm. Ganelon had been exiled to Earth by the rebels of the Dark World, a group of woodspeople who sought to overthrow the Coven's dark reign. They had sent Ganelon away, stripping him of his memories and giving him the identity of Edward Bond. But now, as he was pulled back into the Dark World, those memories returned in fragments, leaving him torn between the man he had become on Earth and the dark sorcerer he once was. The Coven, led by the sorceress Medea, awaited Ganelon's return. Medea, both alluring and deadly, was central to the Coven's power, her influence stretching through the realms of magic. She had once loved Ganelon, and her role in summoning him back was not without personal motives. By her side stood Matholch, a shapeshifter with the ability to become a wolf, and Edeon, a mysterious and ancient figure whose allegiances were never clear. The Coven was weakened, their power waning as the woodspeople gained strength, and Ganelon's return was vital to restoring their supremacy. Yet Edward, still clinging to his Earth identity, was conflicted. The woodspeople, rebels who fought against the tyranny of the Coven, recognized him as their former ally. Edward had lived among them during his exile, working to free them from the Coven's grip. But as Ganelon, he had been their greatest enemy, a ruthless figure who had crushed their resistance. Now, they could not tell which version of the man stood before them, Edward Bond, their friend, or Ganelon, their sworn foe. The Dark World was governed by ancient forces, none more terrifying than Lur, a being of immense power whom the Coven worshipped. Lur's hunger for sacrifices was eternal, and the Coven's sabbats, their dark rituals, were designed to appease him. Medea, who desired Ganelon's return to full strength, sought to draw him deeper into the Coven's web, leading him to Caer Lur, the seat of Lur's power. It was here that Ganelon's true purpose would be revealed, and it was here that the greatest danger awaited. Edward's memories as Ganelon began to surface in haunting fragments. He remembered Caer Lur and the monstrous sacrifices demanded by Lur. Yet even Ganelon, in his darkest moments, had feared this ancient power. The memories filled him with a dread that transcended his understanding, as if his soul recoiled from the very thought of it. Medea, sensing his hesitation, tried to coax him, her words laced with seduction and power, but something within Edward resisted. The woodspeople, knowing Ganelon's return spelled doom for their cause, made desperate attempts to sway him back to their side. Among them was a girl who once fought alongside Edward Bond, now filled with hatred for the man she believed had betrayed them. As Ganelon, Edward faced them in a brutal confrontation, his identity slipping further into the dark figure of his past. Yet just as he was about to strike a killing blow, the sword in his hand turned against him, an unnatural force stopping him from sealing their fate. This unnatural interference was the work of Matholch, who had given Ganelon the sword, knowing it held a magic that would prevent him from fully succumbing to his old self. Matholch's true motivations remained veiled, as he maneuvered within the coven, neither fully loyal to Ganelon nor entirely opposed to him. He warned Ganelon about the dangers of Kerlur, advising caution, for once Ganelon fully embraced his past, there might be no return. The Sabbat approached, and Medea led Ganelon to Kersaker, where the ritual sacrifices to Lur would take place. The coven gathered, masked and silent, as the fires burned, and the air filled with the ancient chants of their dark religion. Medea's eyes gleamed with anticipation as Ganelon stood at the precipice of reclaiming his former power. But as the ritual commenced, Edward Bond fought desperately to retain his own identity, knowing that to give in would mean losing himself forever. Caught between the two worlds, Edward faced the ultimate choice: to surrender to Ganelon's memories and become the Dark Lord of the Coven once more, or to resist and hold onto the remnants of his earthbound humanity. But with Lur's shadow looming ever closer, the fate of both the Dark World and Edward's soul hung in the balance, as forces beyond his control pulled him deeper into the heart of darkness. Hope you enjoyed that. If you want more, explore other amazing works by Henry Kuttner. You know where to find them. Check the description or Celsius 233. Remember, while our summaries capture the essence, they can never replace the full experience of reading the book. If this summary intrigued you, consider diving into the complete story, buy the book, and immerse yourself in Henry Kuttner's original work. Bye-bye, take care, have fun.